What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham GSM Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network as well as on Peacock, as today we're talking the March 22nd, 2021 edition of Raw Talk. So in a bit of an update on what I've said in recent reviews of Raw Talk, it was not confirmed but heavily hinted at last week per PW Insider that Charlie Caruso is on her way out of WWE, it looks like. Just because I guess there might have been heat on her, or, I mean, obviously she's at ESPN, so she'll be perfectly fine, which would explain why she's off of Raw Talk. She's no longer the backstage interviewer for Raw, doing anything else remotely related to WWE. She hasn't commented on the rumors, I don't think, but that would explain why she never addressed her status on Twitter about why she was off Raw Talk. So it doesn't look like we're getting any more Char-Truth here on Raw Talk, which... Listen, she's not terrible, but as a host, she's not great. I've said that. I've been a little harsh on her before, but she's not great in the host role here on this show. I very much enjoy Kevin Patrick. I think he's getting better. He got the raw end of the deal this week. He got the short end of the stick when it came to the interaction with the talents. Everyone was pooping on this guy. Everybody. Sheamus, Braun, even Rhea Ripley, who I thought was supposed to be a babyface, but didn't come across very likable on this show. He got the short end of the stick this week, but Kevin Patrick was back in the host role, as well as Xavier Woods, filling in for R-Truth this week. And Woods was great as the co-host for Talking Smack early on, before The Miz came on, and Sami Zayn, and Paul Heyman. Before all of them, it was Xavier Woods, back when Talking Smack initially returned last summer. So I thought he and Kevin Patrick did a good job of carrying the show, and I thought the guests did a good job of kind of letting them know what was on their mind and cutting some really intense and great promos. So before we get to any of that, they recap the ending to Raw, and Xavier Woods recalls his own history with The Fiend, expecting something weird to happen, come WrestleMania when it's Randy Orton and The Fiend one-on-one of the show. They preview The Miz versus Bad Bunny at WrestleMania. They recap McIntyre beating the Hurt Business in the 2-on-1 handicap match on Raw this week. And Woods brings up his own WrestleMania match, where he and Kofi as the New Day will be defending the Raw Tag Team titles against AJ Styles and Omos. And Woods brought up how tag teams keep disappearing, which made me laugh, and it's true. Every time we get tag teams in this division, they just keep disappearing. There's like no tag team division in WWE right now. Maybe on NXT, but not on Raw or SmackDown. So he brought that up. The first guest they have on was Sheamus, who brings Riddle's scooter with him, and Sheamus was pissed, you could tell. He recalls his wars with McIntyre and Lashley, and... how great those matches were and how we took both men to the limit. And he says that there would be no WrestleMania main event without him. He helped get McIntyre to where he needed to go. He helped Bobby Lashley get where he needed to go. He helped prepare these guys for that Mania main event. And he says, despite the great performances that he's put in over the last 12 months, he always gets the shaft. And Lashley and McIntyre is a match that's nothing without him, which is why he should be involved. In reality, he should not be. He's lost a bunch, and I'm a big Sheamus fan, and I think he should be doing something notable at Mania. And I guess facing Riddle is fine, but he's already been U.S. champion. He's already faced Riddle. It's not exactly a fresh match. But they always work well together, so I guess it's not that big of a deal. But speaking of Riddle, he doesn't care about Riddle. So I don't know if that doesn't mean... I don't know if that means he doesn't care about the United States Championship, but he said here he doesn't care about Riddle. He just took a scooter just because he felt like it, I guess. But he doesn't know. He says the million-dollar question is that... Why isn't he a part of the WrestleMania main event? It should have been him and Drew one-on-one for the WWE Championship, he claims. Coming out of the Royal Rumble, when he attacked Drew, Drew said, I would give you a title match, and then they were put inside the Elimination Chamber instead. So he's frustrated, and he also blames his recent losses on injuries. Had he been 100%, he absolutely would have beaten both Drew and Bobby Lashley. And he goes out there every single night like he's never won a single title. He's hungry. And he's looking to take... whoever it is, Riddle, anyone else, to the limit the next time he steps in that ring. He wants to be as hungry as every other up-and-comer from NXT or anyone else on the roster. He's been here for a long time, but he's not content. So the next person they had on was Rhea Ripley, and she says that a lot of things are going through her head. She doesn't know what to say regarding her debut on Raw, her Raw arrival this past Monday night when she confronted Asuka and challenged her to a Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania this year. But, she's been waiting on the sidelines for a month or two now, and she was trying to pick the right time to come out. And she got what she wanted, a Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. And Kevin Patrick asks, what do you think makes you a nightmare? And she gets really, pissed at him, and she says, well, my in-ring work shows why I'm a nightmare. Have you been watching my stuff? Obviously, hopefully you would know why I'm a nightmare. I was like, okay. So she said that she wants to show everyone who she is now that she's on Raw, and she's not going to give anything away as far as what her strategy is come WrestleMania. My big takeaway from this was that Rhea Ripley, she was good, but it was that she came across very unlikable and like a just not great. So I don't know if they're making her a heel or if this was just her way of being badass, because she never came across this way in NXT, as badass as she is. So I thought that was interesting. Braun Strowman talks about what went down with Shane earlier on in the evening, and who cares? He got really intense, and his segment here was pretty short, but he talked about what went down with Shane and him dodging him again and getting Shane at WrestleMania. He doesn't like the fact that Shane calls him stupid, and that reignited a fire inside of him since he was a kid, because I guess he always got called stupid, and he was dyslexic, all this other stuff. So that's the crux of this storyline, is that Shane calls Braun stupid. That triggers some childhood trauma. And now, Braun wants his revenge at WrestleMania. Who cares? At this point, it's not their fault, but like the story this company is coming up with is terrible. It's just not good. So, anyway, he hopes that his dad will come out during the match and beg him to stop beating up Shane at WrestleMania. I don't think Vince is going to come out and interact with Braun the same way that Miz's dad interacted with Shane at WrestleMania 35, but that's what Braun wants to see. And then after Braun walks off, Xavier Woods brings up his own history with Braun Strowman. He said, oh, this was so long ago. That was when Braun had hair. It's like Braun only shaved his head like less than a year ago. So he made it sound like it was longer ago that he's been bald now. But he's only been bald now for like a year. But actually less than that, only like 6 or 7 months. But anyway, with Woods, he brought up his own history with Braun and how they brawled on the compound, the Wyatt compound. Remember that in the summer of 2016? And that was pretty much it. So my big takeaway from the show is that they were all dunking on Kevin Patrick like a lot. And sometimes I'm okay with that, because some of the questions they give these hosts to say, and it wasn't really Charlie's fault either, they're just not good. They're very staged and formulaic questions. And they just like bully the interviewers, and it's like, okay, can you not do that? You know what I mean? But his questions weren't that dumb, so I thought that was weird. But this was a good episode of Raw Talk overall. Braun got very intense. Sheamus got very intense. Rhea Ripley was fine. So a good episode of Raw Talk this week, better than most. And I think having Woods and Patrick in there was great. I don't think they're going to put Woods on here full time. He only filled in for R-Truth for 1 week. I like R-Truth, but it's hard to take him seriously on the show. So I'm not a big R-Truth co-host fan. He has his moments, but usually it's more miss than hit. But this was a fun episode, though, from March 22nd, 2021. Be sure to like this video, be sure to drop a comment, share it, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. And be sure to check out the playlist for more Raw Talk reviews in the description box down below. Have a great one, guys. Be sure to, again, subscribe for more exclusive interviews coming here to the channel this coming week with Ring of Honor talent and more. So that's coming up shortly. But yeah, thanks, guys, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Have a great one. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.